I'm now going to move over to the budget tab that I have over here. So if I'm looking at the budget tab, I can see the information that I'm looking at, which is current year budget by item group by period. And I can see I've got some dimension information for all my customers. The sales measure is what I'm looking at, current year, and budget. I can also see a graphical representation of the budget by group with a crosstab by channel, by quarter in the lower right-hand corner. Now, if I went ahead and clicked on LED lamps in the top left-hand corner, I'll be able to see the item detail breakdown. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus only on electricians. So I'm going to close this up. And what I'm going to do again is I'm going to click in the top left-hand corner over here, and there's going to be a drop-down that becomes available. So all of my classifications are there, and I'm going to go ahead and select electricians. I can see that number of that 8.5 million across the board by item group, by period. We can see that LED panels accounts for 1.6 million of the 8.5 million in budget for electricians. Now let's look to increasing the budget. We're going to create a simulation in the form of a sandbox for increasing the budget. I can create a sandbox or use an existing one already created called increase budget. So I will go ahead and select that by just selecting over here, and I'm going to just click in this blue area. And right now I'm working with the base. I'm actually going to go ahead and select one of my sandboxes that I have called increase budget. I have that number available to me. It's the same $8.5 million. Now I'm going to increase LED panels by 15%. So if you notice, I see LED panels is showing $1.6 million. All I need to do is type in INC 15. Hit enter. I can see the impact of the changes by them showing in blue, not only by item group to the item level, but also by channel to the customer level, which in virtue does it by salesperson. I also want to increase LED floodlights by 20%, but not until period 4, where I know a promotion is coming into effect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select periods 1, 2, and 3 by control clicking them. And I'm going to right click, and I'm going to be able to place a hold on these items. Now you'll notice that there's a little pause sign that's showing next to each of these. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to that $1.2 million that's over here, and I'm going to go ahead and say increase 20%. INC 20. Notice how periods 4 through 12 got impacted, but periods 1, 2, and 3 remain the same. I'm going to go ahead and release the holds that are placed right now by just right-clicking on the number and say release all holds. I will now go ahead and increase the amount that's set for LED accessories from 83K all the way up to 200K. But I'm going to use the same distribution breakdown that's currently showing. So I'm going to go into this column here and just type in 200K. The system will break back accordingly, not only by item group, but also by channel and by period. If you notice now, the overall budget for electricians has increased from 8.5 million originally to 9.1 million. And we can see the impact in blue. We can go back to the base to see the original numbers by just selecting over here in the blue area and say, I want to see the original base numbers. and we're back to our 8.5 million. If I'm happy with the changes that I've made with regards to increased budget of 9.1 million, I can go ahead now and commit that by just clicking on the commit and just say yes. I now want to start a budget version from scratch with a new version called revised budget. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use last year's actuals as a baseline. So first off, I'm going to go ahead and select the version that I want, which is revised budget. You'll notice that everything is set to 0. And I'm also going to go ahead and take the filter off for our customers, which is electricians. And I'm going to bring it right back to all customers. So now that I've got my 0 revised budget in play, I'm going to go ahead and click on the number 0 over here at the intersection of all items in year. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to go ahead and do what's called a spread data. But the spread data that I'm going to do is a relative percent adjustment, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take last year's actuals and use that as a baseline, but I want to increase that by 10%. So I'm going to click on relative percent adjustment. Now I'm going to check and select the elements that I want. So I want this for based on the previous year numbers, and I want to rely or base it on the actual. So again, previous year actual is what I'm doing the relative percent adjustment on. I click on next. Notice I'm seeing last year's number was $24 million. I'm going to take that adjustment and put it to 110, which is 110% of that number. I'm going to make sure that I replace the numbers that are there, and I'm going to click on apply. Now you're going to see the revised budget is showing at $26 million based on last year's numbers of 110%, and I'm now going to be able to start making my adjustments as I see fit accordingly, whether it be by period, by group, by channel, or what have you.